Hey guys, it's TechGrain here. In today's video, we're going to answer the question, have AMD GPUs gotten better for streaming and recording, and have their encoders actually improved? Because if you guys do not know, we did a video like this a while back testing AMD's 6000 series GPUs with their recording encoders and streaming encoders, because there's been a whole rumor that AMD GPUs aren't the best for actually streaming. In that video, we actually found out they are pretty good for streaming, not the craziest thing in the world compared to NVIDIA, but supposedly their encoders have proved what I was told in the comments on their 7000 series GPU. And the difference between their coders from 6000 to 7000 series is that on the die of the GPU, usually the part for the video encoder. Now, for a 7000 series, what they did is separate that die from the actual GPU, so that way when you game, it doesn't affect the encoder, so that way I have two separate parts of the GPU. One's dedicated for gaming, and one's dedicated for video encoding. Now, what happened in the 9000 series is that they had that same process, but they improved upon their encoders and added the AV1 encoder, meaning that if you have like a recording in H.264 and you record 12,000 bitrate, you'll get some pretty good quality 1080p footage for like 12,000 bitrate. But AV1 cuts this in half, the size of the file and also the amount of bandwidth needed to actually get the same quality file from 264. So the cool thing about these encoders on the 9000 series GPUs is that they're actually significantly better. I'm not too sure about the 264 encoder though, because there has been some rumors that it hasn't changed. So we're gonna figure out today, have 9000 series GPUs improved AMD's encoders, and are they actually amazing now for streaming? And that's the question we're gonna answer here today, so let's get right into it. Now for the recording test, how we're gonna have this set up is we're gonna keep it real world example. So we have, of course, our little face cam here, which we have access to, and we have our gameplay that we're catching with the actual display capture. And we're doing this all in a single PC setup because the GPU we're using for this testing is the 9060 XT, meaning that it's 16 gigabytes of VRAM, and it's pretty strong for actually encoding 1080p gameplay, which I have a whole video coming on that later here. So I expect this to do really well. So now for our recording settings, what we're gonna do is go into settings in OBS, go to the output setting, and then the first thing we need to make sure to do is switch our output mode from simple to advanced so you get full access to the encoder settings. What we want to do from here is go to recording settings, and then from here what we want to do is make sure our video encoders AMD's hardware encoder for H.264 AVC. So that's the first test we're going to do, and the second test afterward is going to switch this video encoder from that to the AMD hardware AV1 encoder. Because what should happen if we use this actual encoder, if we record with actually H.264 QCP actually level 20, we actually will get a really nice quality file, but the file will be pretty big after 20 minutes. So if we use the AV1 encoder, what should happen here is that if we record with constant bitrate at 12,000, we should be able to use less actual size of the file, but get the same level of quality. And just to keep it more real with you guys, what we're going to also do is we're going to try multi-streaming as well, just in case you are wondering how this GPU looks like while multi-streams. We're gonna go live right now to figure that out. So what we're gonna do is go live to actually Twitch, and we're gonna also go live to Kick. And what I'm also gonna do on top of it too, this is a bit daring, is record on top of it. So we're gonna do CBR, and of course we're gonna start with 6000. So you can see right now we're live on Twitch and also on Kick for our testing. The first game we're going to test is Apex Legends, because I feel like Apex Legends is going to be the perfect game for testing our actual encoder and GPU, because this game has always been one of those games where like you need to have a dual PC set that gets the best quality out of it. For Apex Legends, what we're going to use for our settings while multi-streaming and also recording on top of it in our video settings is we're going to use the following. We're going to do full screen, 16:9, 1080p, max FOV, and then have everything else set to low for the time being, besides models, because like the character models will make it easier to see your enemies, also makes your gun skins look good. We will do one test afterward with 12,000 bit rate and actually max setting. Okay, so let's check over the footage. So first footage we're gonna check right here is the H.264 6000 bitrate, just to see the quality of it is. Now keep in mind, when I tested this last time on the 6000 series GPUs, the quality of footage was a bit blurry in fights and not particularly the best. So far, it looks really good when you're on the loading screen, which is no surprise there. But when we actually get into fights, you actually see the footage. So here's how the footage looks with 6000 bitrate. Now, it seems very similar to the original H.264 on the 6000 series encoders. Like, you can see our FPS is dropping. It's a bit blurry and there's a lot of noise to it. Like, if you're just streaming, this is definitely watchable, but it isn't particularly the best. Like, I don't know, man. This is like, it's good. I think it's good enough. Actually, any more than that, I wouldn't give any more points to that. Now, let's check 12,000 bitrate with actually H.264. How does this actually look? So this should look way better compared to the actual original coder. We're gonna get back into this fight here, and of course when we fly in, this is where we should know a lot of frame drops. We're not seeing anything right here. Our FPS does tank because of the encoding settings. But then again, if you are streaming to more than one platform, you should notice your FPS drop by like 30 to 60 FPS. So I think this is nice. This is actually like really good quality. I actually love how this actually looks. 12,000 bitrate on this encoder for H.264, which is like amazing. Yeah, even while doing all these fancy movement and stuff, it still looks very good. Okay, yeah, so 12,000 is good. I definitely say that's better. And now for the QCPA level 21. Let's see how this actually. Those Valkyries are going to be our example. So I'm not seeing any noise right now when it comes to like moving around. When we move around, you should see a lot of noise. That was a big thing with the AMD GPUs originally, that their encoders had a lot of noise to them. And I'm not seeing it here, which is nice. Like, this is very good for QCP. It's not the smoothest thing in the world though, but yeah, I think this is good. I just think the H.264 encoder needs more than like 6,000 bitrate for AMD GPUs. Like 8,000 is the minimum, and then if you're on NVIDIA, the 6,000 is more than enough. NVIDIA's just got a way better video encoder compared to AMD. Like AMD's encoders are getting there, but I do think they still need a little bit more work on their H.264 encoder. So I just finished up recording 6,000 bitrate with AV1, and I already looked at the footage so far, and I will say like this is kind of really nice. So keep in mind, the blurry footage we had earlier with H.264 6,000 bitrate was watchable, but nothing more than that. I wouldn't say was great. So this is how it looks like with actually the AV1 encoder at 6,000 bitrate. Like the gun skins, everything about the gameplay, the footage looks very good. There's not really any noise when it comes to actually any movement or stuff. Because keep in mind, when you did a lot of movement, there was a lot of noise. There is some blur to actually the footage, but it isn't instrumental to the quality of how everything looks. Like AV1 looks really good. The only problem with AV1 is it does take a little bit more on your FPS. So comparing AV1 to H.264 6000, you can actually tell based on the size of the guns and the blurriness of the actual H.264 footage that's not as good as AV1 with 6,000 bitrate. Like the quality of AV1 is definitely way better. Now the real question is, how does AV1 look like with 12,000 bitrate? Now this should be comparable to QCP 20 to some degree. I'm not sure if that's actually going to be the result. So like here it is right now, looks pretty good. I can definitely see some blur, but not like when we had 6,000 actual bitrate. Like this is very nice. Like this is really good actually. Yeah, no, I could honestly see this being like a new GPU for me to use as my hardware encoding on. I don't know, man. I'm actually kind of deciding whether or not to start using AMD GPUs for my stream PC instead of NVIDIA GPUs. But I'm not too sure just yet because I haven't tested NVIDIA's new hardware encoder for their like AV1 stuff. So I think AMD's AV1 encoder is definitely surprised me with how good it can actually be. And I'm really hoping that Twitch starts actually supporting AV1 because it supposedly works with enhanced broadcasting, but it's not that great with anything else. Kick doesn't have AV1 and their encoder on their website isn't particularly the best, but like this is nice. Like the footage from this is actually like very good. It's a bit fast paced. There's a little bit of hiccups here and there, but like not the craziest thing in the world. So I just ended the live stream for Twitch and Kick, and I kind of want to just go back and look at the footage to see how good the quality is. Now keep in mind, 6,000 bitrate isn't particularly the best for AMD's encoders. So I don't expect the quality to be like too insane. So here we go. Webcam looks nice. How about actually the gameplay though? And keep in mind too, we were multi-streaming while recording, and it does seem to have the same issue as the recording where like it's a bit blurry when you do all that movement. But like I still think that if you're streaming to like any platform, this is more than enough to actually like be good quality. Like it's watchable. Let's say the very least, it's watchable. It's not the best quality, but it is watchable. How about Kick though? I'm curious about Kick. Is Kick the same way? Kick is the same way. I've noticed though with Kick, like they're not very good with encoders. Twitch's hardware encoder they have for their platform is very good with low bitrate for encoding a stream. Kick on the other hand doesn't particularly have the best encoder, and I'm not sure why. So now for our last test, what we're gonna do is have Apex Legends maxed out on high settings just to see how the game holds up while recording 12,000 bitrate on H.264 and then AV1. Okay, let's try Apex on 12,000 bitrate, H.264, ultra settings. I don't know how this is gonna honestly be. It could be really good or really not. Luckily, we got 16 gigabytes of VRAM, so the rest of it should go to the GPU for 1080p, while the other 8 go for the actual encoding in OBS. So I'm really gonna be curious to see like will the quality of the footage actually look good at 12,000, because we're able to do this at 1080p ultra settings. We could probably do other games on meaning the high settings with actually a bitrate, which would actually be cool. That's being weird in these cubby. He's like not trying to take this at all. What are you doing? What are you trying to do? Trying to outsmart. Feels good though. I don't feel like the frames have really dropped that much. I was expecting the frames to drop quite a bit. We're still around like 180 to 200. Okay, so let's see how H.264 12,000 bit rate actually did. Of actually ultra settings. Okay, so that looks really good. I wanna go to the part where you start finding all these kids up here, because this is the part where it's gonna be like very noticeable with it. So it is still a bit blurry, like on H.264 as we noticed earlier. Looks good, definitely better, but it's not the greatest in the world. But it's cool that we're able to actually like get some really nice smooth footage on ultra settings, which is kind of ridiculous in itself. So the 9060 XT actually does really good at encoding and actually gaming at the exact same time. I'm quite surprised. So what we're gonna do now is switch it to the AV1 encoder and actually use 12,000 bit rate on ultra settings. This should be equivalent to QCP20, but I don't know if that's gonna be the case on ultra settings. The game still feels very smooth and we haven't dropped much FPS. Actually, we did drop FPS. So we were bouncing around like 180 to 200, but since we're using AV1, we're at 160 to 180. Interesting. Okay. I thought I'd note that out there right now. It's kind of hard to see because I don't have MSI afterburner. Damn, that sucks. Okay, I'm kind of surprised. It actually like worked out. AV1, 12,000. It looks very, very good and it's very, very smooth to say the least. It is ultra settings, by the way. I'm really, really surprised with like how good this actually did. Like this GPU is actually really good for like gaming and recording, not streaming. It's all right streaming, I'd say. So let's go over my final thoughts on AMD's GPUs. Are they actually really good for streaming now, or are they just good enough for actually streaming in 2025 with the new 9000 series GPUs and their encoders? I will quickly say their H.264 encoder is good. I'm a bit disappointed though, just because of the fact I was hoping in the 9000 series GPUs they would improve upon this within 7000 series and just make it better in 9000 series. That is ultimately just not the case with this actual GPU. But I will say this, their AV1 encoder has definitely surprised me on how good the quality can actually be for half the amount of bitrate needed to get the same level of quality as H.264. So yeah, my honest thoughts is this: if you are planning to stream with AMD GPUs, go for it if you want to on a tight budget. But if you can, I would still recommend NVIDIA GPUs at the end of the day. But I do feel like they're a great option still for streaming nevertheless. They aren't bad anymore in 2025. They're really good. And the AV1 is excellent. I'm just hoping AV1 starts becoming the normal thing they actually stream with to Twitch and other platforms, because I feel like if they start doing that, AMD might have the advantage over NVIDIA in this category. But if you are curious which one is better, AMD or NVIDIA, we're going to do a video later here testing AMD's GPU with the 9600 XT against the actual 5060 to see who's got the better encoder in 2025. If you don't want to miss out on that video, definitely get subscribed. If you find this video helpful, make sure to smash the like button. I'll see you guys for that one. Tech Grant out.